Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. Coming up, we visit the hydrotherapy pool at Humberston to find out how the money that's raised is spent. And we head to Estuary, where the community have rallied round to save their church. And two guests tonight. My first guest is Nick Swanwick, here to talk about the BMX event in Cleethorpes. And then joining me to look through the week's newspapers will be Ross Blackwood from Moneyline UK.
And I'll bring you all the local headlines in just a moment. Hull City Council has approved plans for a new cruise terminal in the city. The Cabinet gave the green light to the development of a riverside berth and cruise terminal which could see ferries arriving directly into the centre of Hull. A report which focused on the highlights of the investment said it could put nearly £30 million into the city and the Humber region. The council is now looking for a partner to help build the ambitious project. The Prime Minister and members of the royal family could descend on Cleethorpes next year. The town has been awarded the prestigious honour of hosting the 2016 National Armed Forces Weekend. It follows Cleethorpes' regular Armed Forces Weekend, which took place last Saturday and Sunday. It's estimated up to 180,000 people were on the seafront to see the parade, which included a flypast from a Vulcan bomber.
Next year is going to be massive for the town, massive for Lincolnshire. We have a generator calculator that the council work to. For every head of people here is how much revenue it increases the local turnover, and it's going to be phenomenal. We could be expecting £250,000 people here next year, and that could well generate a couple of £1 million worth of extra revenue for local businesses.
Police are launching an investigation after a 25-year-old man died following a disturbance in Hull on Saturday night. The man has not yet been formally identified, but his family are being supported by specially trained officers. Anyone with any kind of information is asked to contact Humberside Police. You can also contact Crime Stoppers anonymously about the case. A new city farm has opened up in Hull back in September of 2014. Expressions of interest were asked for from the public, and now the farm is open to everyone. The project aims to improve interest in farming in the city.
We've done so much work. We only took over in March, so I've done about a quarter of it in planting, and I've left the rest of the place, or at least half of the place, a blank sheet. Hopefully the people that will come today, I'll get groups together and a committee together, and they themselves will decide what we're going to have in that space. I don't want to preempt what people want. The whole idea is to get everybody in Hull involved, or everybody that wants to be involved in Hull, and to try and get people to live healthily, grow healthily and reasonably cheaply.
That's all from me. Bye for now.
Churches are often at the centre of life and heritage in a village. In North Lincolnshire, the Friends of St Nicholas in Estuary have been fundraising to save and improve the church, which is without a vicar and was close to being lost. Dave Nunn has been along to find out more about this historic building.
It's at the heart of many rural communities, but the Church of St Nicholas in the village of Estuary needed a lifeline in order to stay open. That's where Val Mumby and the Friends of St Nicholas Church Group came in to save a vital and historic part of their village.
Friends of St Nicholas was formed over 2 years ago now. The church was under threat of closure, and it's a Grade 1 listed building, and we hadn't a vicar and we still haven't got one. And we needed the church to survive because villages need churches, and also we need it as a venue, as a second venue in the village. So we decided that we wanted to keep it open, and we had to show that we were willing and able and determined and committed to be able to raise funds in order that then, if the diocese would allow us to, and if the diocese supported us, they would then allow us to go for funding.
The diocese put a 6-month stay on the church, which has now become more permanent as the group, who aren't necessarily churchgoers, aims to raise money to secure thousands of pounds worth of funding. So far they've raised £13,500.
By the end of that 6 months, we already knew that we had the church retained, but what we had to do then was really set about raising 5% of the 500,000. So in fact our target was £25,000. And at the moment there are 6 of us. We're normal people, we're not necessarily churchgoers, we're fundraisers.
The funding, which will partly come from the Heritage Lottery Fund, will be spent on necessary repairs and enhancement in order to cement the future of St Nicholas Church as a central piece of Ulsby's heritage.
The money, when we get it, we've gone now for the first bid for funding, and we're applying for £237,000, and that will go towards a new roof, because until we do something with the roof, we're constantly going to be in a problem of disrepair. We have water coming in from time to time, quite often when it's wet, and they're also going to be looking at the spire, and they're also going to be looking at putting us in a servery and toilets, which will be brilliant, because then we'll be able to do more and more events that people can know that they can come and be comfortable, and also have some nicer food and hot drinks while they're here and so on. So that will be a tremendous boost to what we're doing.
Now, many may not be aware, but Grimsby and Cleethorpes were at the heart of BMXing in the 1980s. This year, to celebrate 20 years of the charity giving young people opportunities, which was set up by ex-racers and skaters, the Cleethorpes Old School BMX Ride Out is happening next month, and joining me is one of the organisers, Nick Swanwick. So welcome, Nick. So this ride happens every year, but this year it's a bit special, isn't it? Just tell us why.
Well, this year marks the 20th anniversary of Giving Young People Opportunities charity formation.
Okay.
And it's 30 years since a guy called Eddie Fiola came over from the US to do a GT-sponsored world tour.
Right.
And with GT in the 80s being based in Grimsby, he was based here throughout that part, the British portion of the tour.
Right.
And we've invited him back to come and visit. And we've made a replica bike of his bike of the day to raffle off for the charity.
And of course, this is the bike that we've got in front of us. So just tell us what is special about this bike. I'm sure there's people out there that are looking at that clearly know what it is.
Yeah, it's a 1985 GT World Tour, fundamentally.
Okay.
And then this is a replica of the exact bike that Eddie rode in Cleethorpes Leisure Centre in 1985.
Right.
And he's coming over to draw the winning ticket.
Wow. So people can buy raffle tickets on the day, which is July the 11th, isn't it?
Yes, it is. July the 11th, and raffle tickets, they're going to be old school raffle tickets.
Right.
A piece of paper with your name on the back, and they're £1 each.
Okay, and how many people do you expect to turn up for this?
Currently, I've got about 250 people
Okay.
looking at turning up for the ride itself,
Yeah.
as well as the people who are going to the Giving Young People Opportunities Festival.
Okay.
It's being held on Taylor's Avenue that weekend as well.
And do people come from around the UK for this event? Is it that popular?
Yes, there's quite a big scene in the UK for old school.
Yeah.
There's rides almost every weekend, certainly during the summer months,
Mm-hmm.
with a main focus based out of Milton Keynes in August. But I've had interest from France and Belgium for this ride as well, because Eddie Fiola's coming over.
I mean, what amazed me when I was looking at your Facebook page is how central this area was, and some of the riders that came out of the region.
Yeah, in the 80s, GT was based out of Grimsby. Everything came through Wheelway Shop, which was formerly at Ainton Square, then latterly on Church Street. And most of the sponsored riders were local to here.
Right.
And we've had world champions based out of Grimsby, some very young, and it's always been known for its GT influence.
Is there an old, I was going to say it sounds really rude, but who is the oldest rider that you've got that would come out with you?
The oldest rider, who I'm not going to say her age, because you never ask a lady her age, but it's a lady called Heather Moore, who 3 generations of that family come and have come every year to support the ride, as well as support the local racing at the new Waltham track.
I was going to say, BMXing is still as popular today, isn't it?
It is. It's under a different guise now because it's governed underneath the UCI, but it's an Olympic sport. And we've got a current champion at the moment with Liam Phillips, and that's a World Series, as well as the trails with the X Games sponsored by Red Bull and things like that.
Yeah.
It's never really stopped. It's just the racing went slightly underground.
Right.
But now, with it being Olympic sponsored, it is big again.
It's brilliant. And on that day, which is, remember, it's July the 11th, you've obviously got T-shirts as well, haven't you?
Yeah, we've got T-shirts available, limited stock only. We have mugs with the same logo on. We have various parts of memorabilia.
Okay.
And Eddie, of course, will be along to sign any bikes, any T-shirts, or anything. Posters from 1985 we've got people bring in.
Brilliant.
So they're going to have their brochure signed.
Hopefully some lucky person will win this.
Absolutely, this will go that day.
Brilliant.
I am not taking this bike home.
Thank you very much for coming in, Nick. So now it's time to find out where the Lord Mayor of Kingston upon Hull and Admiral of the Humber is going next week in the Mayor's Going Where.
On Saturday morning at 10:30, I'll be going into town to do the salute for the Freedom Parade. Unfortunately, we haven't got a band this year, which is such a shame. Sunday, I'll be starting the marathon off. Monday, I'm in the Lord Mayor's Parlour with John Barnes regarding a Santa fun run. Then I'm visiting Maybury School. And then I'm having a courtesy call by the Sea Cadets. And then the head teachers at a celebration event in the Lord Mayor's Parlour. On Tuesday, the 30th of June, Lord Mayor's Parlour, reception for apprentices, this is what I really, really like to see, young people getting on in life and trying to make something of their life. Hull New Theatre, Trinity House Annual Prize Day, and 6:45, Hull Physio Summer Promenade Concert.
You're watching Estuary News. I'm Emma Lingard. Now, recently, a charity golf day made a £10,500 donation to the Humberston Hydrotherapy Pool, which has recently surpassed a total fundraising of £1 million. Dave Nunn went along to the pool to find out how the money that's been raised is spent and how that benefits the pool's users.
The highest total raised by the Wolf and Wimble Golf Club charity golf day has been donated to the Humberston Hydrotherapy Pool. The £10,500 is much appreciated by the pool and adds to their lifetime fundraising total that stands at over £1 million.
It's absolutely marvellous, and we're very grateful to Wolf and Wimble Golf Club, particularly the captain this year and the captain last year, and we understand the captain next year's forecast he's going to fundraise for us as well. So it's absolutely fantastic. We've been fundraising for nearly 20 years now, and we've just passed the £1 million milestone of fundraising. It cost £750,000 to build the pool, but then we've gone on for the last 9 years fundraising to do the running and operation.
The running and operation cost of this specialist pool don't come cheap.
We need about £30,000 a year to run this facility, and that's just the gas, heating, electricity, etc., water, and that's what it costs us a year. Nobody gives us that money. It's places like Wolf and Windmill fundraising for us. They've raised a third of our year's cost there with the £10,500, and it's absolutely brilliant.
The £10,500 raised by the golf club will go straight back into the pool and help buy some of the specialist equipment that is required by the pool.
Well, as I said, it's on the running cost, but also for the costs of the utilities. But it all goes towards, also goes towards the harnesses that each child needs to be lowered and taken out of the pool. And of course, this is on these hoists that you've seen in the school. But of course, they're all very expensive.
Brian and his wife have been fundraising for the pool for over 20 years, and he says times have been tough. But ultimately, the needs of the kids are what has motivated his dedication to the cause.
Well, when we were turned down a couple of times by two large organisations who refused to fund us, and of course, prices for the building kept going up, people asked, why didn't we give up? And the truth is, the kids are still here. If you're ever getting a down day, come here and see our kids. It really lifts you up to know that there, for the grace of God, go you and I.
It's coming to that time of year when every village in the country opens its gates for people to come and view its gardens. This Sunday in the small village of Hibblestow, it'll once again play host to the Open Gardens event. It's been growing in popularity every year, as Richard Morris found out when he caught up with David Carrick.
The increasingly popular Open Gardens event at Hibblestow in North Lincolnshire aims to showcase the gardens of the village. The gardens don't have to be in perfect shape or comparable to the Chelsea Flower Show. They just have to have owners who are willing to show them.
The event started 4 years ago purely as an open garden event, which was a fantastic day. Then we decided into its second year to go that step further and introduce scarecrows, and it's just grown and grown. So this is the third year of it being a combined open gardens and scarecrow event. This year I think has taken us all on the organising body completely by surprise, and we're absolutely thrilled. We have 12 gardens going to be open, 2 of which are completely new gardens that have not taken part in the event previous years, which is absolutely fantastic. Up to now we have 42 scarecrows. The chapel and the village church will also be open on the day with displays and flowers. We have, weather permitting, a fly past by the Spitfire. So all in all, just hopefully a fantastic day.
David says that the attendance should be improving, and this year there will even be minibuses for people to travel around the gardens.
We're hoping to build on attendance. It's grown every year. Last year, I think I'm right in saying we had somewhere in the region of 450 people in the day and raised 2,600. This year, our publicity, we've done a lot more. We're using social media far more than we have done, and have just been absolutely staggered with the response and the inquiries we've had from that alone. So we're hoping for a lot of people.
Now, joining me to look through the week's newspapers is Ross Blackwood, manager of Moneyline UK. Now, Ross, what have you found in the papers this week?
Varying week, different angles, some important, some light-hearted. I think the biggest one that's made national news that affects us locally in the Grimsby Telegraph.
Okay.
This Wednesday was obviously the Young Seafood situation.
Yes, yes.
Losing the contract. In the Telegraph on Wednesday it went with MPs to meet with Cameron as seafood giant loses contract.
Yeah.
And obviously it's referring to Young's losing this salmon contract with Sainsbury's. £100 million contract.
That's a lot of money at the end of the day.
It is indeed,
isn't
yeah.
it?
And it equates to around roughly 400 to 600 jobs.
Yeah.
So what they're saying is Melanie Owen and Martin Vickers have arranged to meet David Cameron. And what they're looking for is a bit of financial support through either the Regional Support Fund or another pot of government money to help kind of sustain and get through this.
And I know we've heard a lot from people who obviously work there this week that they're not sure at this moment, are they, where the Grimsby factory is going to be hit and how many jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, the effect on the area would be devastating, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, when you read it in the back of the positive news about the potential job creation from the offshore wind farms, etc., it's like a kind of 2 steps forward, one step back, isn't it?
So it's definitely not good news this week.
No.
Anything else that you found in the paper?
Yeah, we've got over in Hull in the Daily Mail this Thursday, something that's once again national, but really this one's local, and it really hits home and shows some startling figures. Supermarket staff at the Tesco over on Newland Avenue in Hull are working to give donations and raise money for the local food bank over there called The Hub.
Yeah.
Now, well, I think we know through watching TV and reading the papers that food banks are becoming something that people are unfortunately becoming a lot more reliant on in the current climate. And what Tesco have actually said, which is really good, they're willing to add 30% on top of any funds raised.
Yes.
And I'll go to the Hub Food Bank. Now, the Hub Food Bank in Hull over the last 12 months have helped feed between roughly about 5,000 adults and children, which is a huge number.
A huge number, isn't it? Definitely.
So the staff in Tesco are saying, you know, they're looking from donations as little as 50 pence.
Right. Okay. So people can help there. Okay. Another quite sad story. Anything else that you
Good
found?
One. Let's raise it up here. Bear with me at the start. In the Market Raising Mail, the headline says, Now bear with me.
Yeah.
Dad has heart attack. Just going positive. Then completes 133-mile bike ride for charity. Yeah, I know.
That's
an
an
heart attack would
achievement.
come at the other end. But so what this is, Don Stark, 59 years old.
Yeah.
He's raised £30,000 in 3 years for the Way of Hope charity, which helps orphans in Hungary and Romania. And what happened was he was 40 miles into his bike ride.
Oh no!
And started feeling a bit iffy.
Yeah, yeah.
Thought it was a bit of a, bit of an infection. And carried on.
Oh.
And it turns out only 70%. 70% of his arteries were blocked.
Oh dear,
and he's now,
that's not very good.
But he wants to use this in a positive way.
Right.
So he's still got 2 bike rides to do. He's hoping to get fit for them, but he's wanting people to help raise £12,000.
Fingers crossed it does. I'm going to have to stop you there. That's all got time, but thank you very much for looking at those stories.
Fabulous.
Hull FC lost 24 points to 6 against Leeds Rhinos in the quarter-finals. The Black and Whites never really got going with a performance full of errors. The only bright moment for the Black and Whites was a try from teenage scrum half Jordan Abdul 5 minutes from the end. In the subsequent semi-final draw, Hull KR faced the Warrington Wolves, while in the other tie, the current holders Leeds Rhinos play St Helens. At the Humber Bridge Half Marathon, Matthew Nutt from Scunthorpe was the first to cross the finish line to beat more than 2,200 runners in the competition. Nutt completed the 13.1 mile race in 1 hour and 15 minutes and 2 seconds. The Wimbledon 2015 Championships commenced today as Ticton and British number 3 Carl Edmund faces Ukrainian Alexander Dolgopolov, ranked 75 in the world rankings. Grimsby Town have today signed winger Marcus Marshall on a 1-year deal, who returns to the club for a second spell with the Mariners. Marshall played for the club first time round in the 2012-2013 season, making 25 appearances and scoring 2 goals. He spent the whole of last season on loan at Lincoln City from parent club Morecambe, playing 33 games and scoring 2 goals, including 1 at Blundell Park in December. And finally, the Grimsby Town Operation promotion now stands at nearly £62,000, with former Mariners midfielder Curtis Woodhouse donating a signed glove as a reward to help the cause. That's all from us for now. If you've got any sports stories, then please email us on sport@estuary.tv. Bye for now.
That's all we've got time for this week. Join us again next week for more news. If you've a story for us, then contact us the usual ways. The details are on the screen. But until next time, goodbye.
Estuary TV's weather, sponsored by Hornsby's, celebrating 100 years in buses.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. A dry Tuesday, feeling warm with sunny periods, light winds and highs of 24 degrees. Very warm with sunny spells on Wednesday, giving way to thunder and storms later.
Estuary TV's weather, sponsored by Hornsby's, celebrating 100 years in buses.